Hey guys, I'm back with part 2 of the fluoro swipe. You may remember I just did this one and not quite happy with the shape of those cells. They were a little bit distorted, so I think it's because the paint mix was too thick. So I've added just a splash of water to my leftover paints. I made up enough to do 2 this size. This is 30 by 40 centimeters. And I'm just using these fluoro paints that I got from eBay. Not really sure what sort they are, but seem to be okay so far. Quite bright. Now, the mixture I've used is 1 part PVA to 2 parts Floetrol. And then I have added an extra splash of water, as I said, to my leftover paints. The black, I'm using Global Black, and I just added an extra little splash of Floetrol to that just to make it a little bit runnier. That's what I'm going to swipe with. Okay, and the coconut milk hair oil, there's 3 drops in each. Now, because I did stir the paints again, when I mixed the water in, I did add 1 more drop of coconut milk and just stirred it once, because when I mixed the water in, I broke up all the silicone, so that might be a problem. We'll see how we go. Okay, so I'll leave a space along the top for the black. Now, with the last swipe, I mixed the colours up. They're blended. I'm going to try and just do them in lines so that they're not so blended this time, and just see what the difference is. I do like experimenting, as you can tell with all these videos. Sometimes you don't want to do a huge pour, you know, get your canvas and everything out and just want to do a little pour. You can use these little cards. You can buy sheets of artist's paper in a pad and just tear out each one. They are quite expensive though. I find these cardboard sheets much more cost effective. They don't warp, they're a good thickness, they're 400 grams. If you wanted to, you could frame them, you can hang them, no reason why you can't. So we'll just keep our colours a little bit more separate for this one and see what the difference is, if any. We're going to fit all the colours in. It will overlap a little bit as I try to fit all the colours in. I've still got the pink and the yellow to go. And as I said in the previous video, these colours will be a lot more vibrant once they're dry, because the Floetrol, the PVA, it's sort of, because the PVA is white, it dulls your colours. But once they're dry, they should be, the PVA dries clear, so your colours should be nice and vibrant again. Right, yellow, last colour. A little bit of blue left, I think. Fill in our gaps. Don't like having any gaps on the board or on the canvas. They should all be covered. And you can just tilt gently to cover everything. Hang on to your card so you don't lose it off the edge. So we've got little gaps showing there, so we'll just tilt very gently just to try and cover them. Fill in these bottom gaps. Haven't got quite as much paint on the board this time. Probably used more than half in the first one, so there's not as much left. But in saying that, I did thin it out a little bit, so it is going further because it's been thinned with water. A little bit more in these cups, just fill in these gaps. I'm going to try and keep our shapes on this swipe, keep our lines, so I don't want to tilt it too much. Tiny little gap there, and a little gap there. A little bit on this edge. Find your swipe never really gets the whole edge anyway. Okay, one last bit. I think that's it. I think that's covered. Right, now the black. Let's give that a little mix. Black tends to thicken up a little bit if you keep it sitting. So just always check it before you pour. You might have to add a touch more Floetrol or a little bit of water. And your swap colour needs to be a little bit thinner than your other colours, so that it can easily be pulled over the top of them. If it's too thick, it won't get pulled over the top of your colours. It might only make it to here and you'll have a big thick band of black and not much down here because it's just too thick to glide easily over the top. So don't make it too thick. Just tilt the excess off. Okay. Now my mix that I made of my Floetrol and PVA, I'll just show you this. I just put it into a 3 litre milk bottle. So 2 parts Floetrol, 1 part PVA. So I've got, this is a 3 litre bottle, I've got 2 litres of Floetrol and 1 litre of PVA. Makes up the 3 litres. And what I'm swiping with, again, is my little sheet of plastic. You can buy document holders from newsagents, office supply stores. Just cut the back out of the front and then you end up with 2 pieces. Sit that on your black and gently drag towards you. Don't put any pressure on it. Take your time, nice and slow. You do get a different effect when you drag quickly versus dragging slowly. And I prefer the dragging slowly. I don't like these worms though. But straight away, if you saw my previous video, straight away you'll be able to see the difference that the thinner mix makes. I'm just going to go and get a little card so I can swipe over these worms that I call them. It's just a little paint chip card that you get from the hardware store. You can use that, you don't have to use a sheet of plastic. If you've only got a little section to do, you might want to tear a bit off. Might have to leave it now actually because the cells are popping up, and if I start swiping over it now it's going to change the whole look of that area. So the cells in the thinner mix are more defined, or so far. They have a clear black ring around them. In the previous one where the mix was a little bit thicker, they were a little bit more watery. See how they've kind of spread? And I think that's because the paint was too thick. So this is looking better. The cells are bigger because the paint is thinner. The paint can stretch more, it can run. So your cells are going to be bigger in a thinner mix. The thicker your mix, the smaller your cells. Now, I'm just going to torch in this area up here where the paint's thicker, the black is thicker, because as you draw the black down, obviously it's thicker there. As you draw it down, it gets thinner and thinner over here. Where it's thinner, there's more cells can pop up, and the thicker paint, you need a bit of heat to bring those cells up. As you can see, they're popping up. Don't want to do too much. There we go. So what do you think of the colours kept in line? Orange, green, pink, blue. They've mixed a little bit, but they've generally kept in their lines. Or do you prefer it where there's different colours? Orange and blue in the one cell, pink and blue in that cell, green and yellow in that cell. Do you like that multicoloured look? Or do you prefer the cells to be just pink, just yellow? So that was that one. That was the previous one with the thicker mix. I think you'll agree that this one with a thinner mix looks more attractive. Cells are better shape and they're bigger. Alright, I'll leave it there. Have a practice. If you find that your cells are too small, make your mix a little bit thinner. Okay, that's it from me. See you next time.